Welcome to 2Cents FC. I'm your host, Amobi Okugo, with my guy, L. We got a special guest for you guys today. If you guys are new to 2Cents FC, each week we'll be discussing topics from around the soccer world, and I'll be giving my thoughts from the perspective of a pro soccer player. This week we'll be discussing the return of MLS play, promotion, relegation in the Premier League, and the greatest kit of all time. I missed the memo. Everyone else is wearing kits except for me. But without further ado, let me introduce Greggo from For the Culture podcast, For the Culture brand, For the Culture platform. Uh, I just want to go out and say thank you so much for what you guys do. You guys really changed the game in terms of media content and what you guys are doing. Shameless plug for the culture. So with that being said, give us the rundown of how it all started. Give us some backstory to you as a person and your team.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, we we actually kind of joke as far as like what for the culture is. I joke as a syndicate. Like we kind of just dabble into a whole lot of stuff. But of course, our main thing is the podcast. We've been doing that for just under 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in October. Yeah, basically the purpose about what that is talking about the intersection of black soccer and black culture and soccer. And basically, what how we got into that after the first season of Atlanta United, uh, a lot of people started coming to me as far as just kind of getting my opinion. I was coming on podcasts just like this, and what I came to realize was that there really weren't a lot of black voices here in America talking soccer like that. And after kind of doing my due diligence, I was like, well, why not us? Me, my co-host Tony Carter, TK, Rashad Kane, like we all kind of just collected over time and really turned this into something that I think I'm very proud of. And I think that just going from my background, like honestly, I was never a huge soccer fan, but I always followed it. Like I followed MLS from pretty much day one, but I didn't really get into like my current fandom until like after the '06 World Cup, and I kind of just went down the rabbit hole and just kept on digging, and it led me to, to Atlanta. It led me to Atlanta United. It led me to Florida culture. Led me here to you guys.
No, respect, and I'm overmatched today. I got two Arsenal fans. I'm sorry, two
Whoa, whoa,
Atlanta
whoa,
fans.
whoa, 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 whoa.
No,
Don't do that.
I had to
Don't do
fix
that shit.
that. two, two
Today is
Atlanta fans.
Today is PSG, but usually I'm United.
Okay, respect. Hey, congrats on the game today.
Thank you,
But
thank you,
I
thank
want to ask you, like, because like with For the Culture, and I keep shamelessly plugging it. You know, soccer in America is not as big for the African Americans, but it's starting to make that shift. You've
you.
seen, NFL, NBA guys, going overseas during the offseason. You got Kevin Durant, James Harden investing in MLS clubs. You can see the potential there. From your take, like where do you see it going?
Um, uh, Not to be cliche, but of course, especially with our community, the sky's the limit. Mainly because a lot of teams still aren't marketing to the Black community. Like I just did an article, an interview for an article that's supposed to come out in the Athletic, and that was one of the big things that I still get on now as far as like what Atlanta United is doing now. Because like even for the amount of Black fans that come to United games, they still don't necessarily market to the Black community. Like the growth that's come from the fan base here is mainly been word of mouth and mainly just providing an attractive product. And I think that I'm still waiting on other teams and other markets to realize like, oh snap, like if they do nothing else, if they provide a decent product, people will come to it instead of just wondering, okay, if we win, people will show up, but that it doesn't work like that. You still have to do some type of marketing. But I do think that with every team, if they just get over their fears and just say, "Hey, we want this demographic as well," um, only good can come from it.
No, exactly. And I still have yet to go to an Atlanta game, but when I watch guys, well, Nagby's on Columbus when I saw you guys, Miles Robinson, Nagby, it just means a lot for that community when you go to a game or you watch on TV and you see players that look like you, that I don't want to say play like you, but play like you, and people you can relate to. It just makes all the difference. And
Absolutely.
you guys do a great job of supporting. And it's not just soccer fans like Grego and L, but you guys you guys get some superstars there as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that I mean, obviously, Atlanta has a lot of culture, so to speak, no pun intended, here in the city, and I think that with the Golden Spike that takes place here, it definitely leads for a lot of opportunity that to bring out those celebrities and get them exposure to the Atlanta product. I know some of the other MLS teams have done something similar to kind of have the same type of rub, but like we still, we uh, there's so many celebrities that live here just in general, not to mention just the people who are important to Atlanta history that I think that it it definitely only enhances the platform, it enhances the profile.
No, that's what it's all about. And we talk about like the on the field product, how we can make it better on the field for African Americans, Black Americans. But from a media standpoint, I know me and El were talking off record, sharing some information. There's a media discrepancy when it comes to Black media and soccer. So,
Mhm.
from your perspective, what are some plans that you guys have moving forward? Obviously, you guys are one of the leaders. You got Black Arrow, you got us coming right behind you guys with 2 Cents FC. There's
Right.
more and more. The Plantain Show with our boy as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah.
Um, where do you see it going, and how do you think that we can kind of continue to push this lane?
Um, it's funny because I actually had another conference call a couple weeks back, kind of discussing the same thing,
He's tapped
and
in.
and it's interesting because I try not to look at it from at least a black perspective, at least not as of yet, as far as with horticulture specific, because I feel like we're still relatively new and we're still kind of gaining our footing. But at the same time, I do think that we've been around long enough to where uh, I do want to take our platform and at least give, if not fans, the platform. I want to get players the platform because I feel like one thing that does not get enough exposure is just the voice of the players. Like of course we had you on the show last year, and just giving that perspective as far as what you guys see as compared to like how we as fans interpret it goes a long way. And I think that American soccer as a whole doesn't do a good enough job of just exposing the voice of the players. Like I made a comparison a few weeks back, like how the profile of the NFL was largely built through NFL films. And I'm like, there's no real equivalent to from for MLS or USL. Like that's something that is badly needed as far as if you want to tell the story of American soccer, you need to get the voices of the players, get the voices of the coaches, like get them out there and actually say like, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. Like I'm sure we'll go into a little bit later, like with the Black Players for Change. Like that's something I think that is huge for expanding on that story because I think that obviously it's been taboo for obvious reasons, but at the same time, like the plight of the Black athlete, especially the Black soccer athlete, because that in itself is a major
Yeah.
trek in itself. Like I think that that's something that needs to be told.
No, you hit the nail on the head, and that's something me and Elle have talked about multiple times. And just want to thank you for being one of the vehicles that will continue to lead that charge. And you were very experienced in the podcast because you led to a perfect segue to our topics. So, L, take us through it.
All right. Well, as you all know, the MLS tournament just kicked off. So the MLS is back tournament kicked off yesterday with Orlando City versus Inter Miami, and this morning with NYFC and Philadelphia Union. So last night, as you mentioned, Greg, the Black Players Coalition organized an 8 minute and 46-second moment of silence before the game, bringing Black players and coaches from around the league onto the field in a show of solidarity. And today, each player on the Philadelphia Union's roster wore the name of a Black person slain at the hands of the police in place of their names on the back of their jerseys. In addition to that, just some MLS's back tournament news, FC Dallas and Nashville have had to drop out of the tournament due to COVID. And as a result, the Chicago Fire have to move into Group A, from Group A along into Group B, along with Seattle Sounders, San Jose Earthquakes, and Vancouver Whitecaps. So let's circle back to the Black Players Coalition and the demonstration before the first game last night.
Yeah, for me, first and foremost, if there's not another game played in the MLS Backers tournament, I would consider it a success because of that, of what happened and how the players came together and really took a stand. And it was funny because people were like, 8 minutes and 46 seconds is a long time. And it really put into perspective, like, yeah, exactly. Like, this is not a game. So there's more to life than soccer. And obviously, not only the Black players, but every player in this front office and the coaches and the all the other stakeholders at play are risking their lives to play. But to spend that time, to spend all like to get together and do that, it was the tournament's a success, in my opinion, regardless of how it continues.
Yeah, I definitely that was a remarkable moment in itself. Not just for you know black athletes, I think for just sports in America in general, uh, especially here in America, because we've seen the demonstrations in Europe with their football leagues, and I think the biggest question was, will the American leagues go as hard as they've been going overseas? And I would definitely say, at least as far as MLS goes, they met that and exceeded it. Like it's one of those moments where you 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 rarely ever have all those many players in one place at one time during the season, like rarely at all.
That's
And
true.
so that was a moment to where we're all here together, we're all able to stand together and make a statement, and they did that. And going to the demonstration today by the union, like I think that was amazing. And because of course you always have like what you can do as a league, but at the same time the teams are still individuals, and they can still decide to do their own thing. And I think that them making that that statement was great as well. Like it's I would think for a league perspective that like this been a great 24 hours.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And shout out to Ray Gaddis, Warren Creval, Mark McKenzie. Philly has done a great job. I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to see their, MLS is back promo vid, but for them to do that, in addition to recognizing the names of the Black individuals that have been slain, and I feel like they got more in the tank. So I feel like it's going to spark them, and carry over to their play on the field too, because I feel like they've come together and found a bigger perfect purpose than just playing soccer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what other teams do something similar. We've only had two games so far, so interested to see who else or what other players opt to, replace their name on their jersey.
Yeah, and to touch on what you said, Grego, because when I was watching the game yesterday, I wasn't listening first, so I saw
Hmm.
all these players. I was like, where? I thought that's what is going on. They're not supposed to have ball boys, and because everyone was wearing the mask, and then I turned the sound. I was like, oh, yo, this is
Yeah,
respect. Yeah,
yeah.
it was really cool to see.
Cool. And speaking of that, let's touch on FC Dallas and Nashville. Like it was almost, hate to say it was perfect, but it's almost perfect that 2 teams had to drop out. It kind of evens the playing field a little bit more, or evens the groups out a little bit more. What do y'all think about the fact that these teams didn't necessarily handle business in their market, and now they can't participate in the tournament?
Like we actually talked about that during this week's episode. Um, I still question if they'll be able to make it all the way through to August, because like I've heard from like friends of mine that are down there in the Orlando area, like the bubble isn't as solid as people think. You know, like they're able, like people are still able to get relatively close to where the players are, and I, and of course you never know. Like you're talking about grown men who are, you know, got. It's funny because I saw Stephen A. Smith kind of look at the same thing. Like you got needs, and you gotta. You're in Florida. It's summertime. It's hot girl summer. Like you gotta figure out, like, hey, we just need you here for a month. After the month, we'll reassess things and kind of go from there. But I just don't know if they'll be able to make it through. I mean, because like some of the players, I think they tested positive after they got to Orlando, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm like, I just I hope for the best, but at the same time, if whether it's people who are kind of coming from their home markets or just people just in Florida in itself is a hot mess. And I'm just like, if they get to August 11th, they'll be an absolute miracle.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if you just take it for what it is, whether they got it in their home state or in Florida, the fact that they're all there together, that's rarely happens. So like say you have a player from one team who's cool with the boy on another team, and like this is their chance to get together. So that alone, I'm not sure the protocol, and I'm not gonna be snitching. And then from from the food standpoint,
Oh my
Florida has
God.
good food. Like they're not gonna be eating the hotel food day
I
in, day
sure hope not. I sure hope not, because that thing.
out. And then if you think of it for the example, like the Orlando players, like you want me to stay in a hotel when I live there, and my wife is like, nah, my kids are right there. They're gonna find a way to sneak out, and sometimes their boys are gonna come with them because that's just how it is.
They're gonna be like, "Yo, make a Publix run for me, man. Like, yo, do this for me real quick."
Exactly. It's impossible to keep. Even like when we were younger and we would be at camps, like youth national team camps or like regional camps and stuff. We couldn't even stay in the hotels. We would sneak to the gas station just to get out because yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be real interesting. And like that Stephen A thing, like he wanted to say exactly what we talking about without saying it.
Yeah,
And yeah, nah. Florida don't listen as is. So the
exactly. Uh,
And it's looking like the MLS.
I
Go
feel
ahead,
like
Greg.
if they had done their due diligence, they probably would have tried to do probably would have went out to Utah with the women and be like, hey, at least if nothing else, there's nothing to do out here. All we gotta do is play ball
yeah,
and we'll get through this no problem. Because you haven't heard anything from the women since the tournament started. Like they've been good. So
that's
I
true.
Yeah.
I said
I mean,
all we can hope for the best in Orlando.
but it is 8 teams versus 24 teams, so it's a lot easier to control 8 teams. You know,
Yeah.
you only got to worry about one field, everything like that. But even the bubbles, like NBA versus MLS, like the MLS got the short end of the stick. Like I'm seeing inside of the NBA bubble, and it's looking kind of cushy over there. You know, I'm even hearing it. I'm even hearing that they have access to some, Disney World rides and stuff like that. So
and money
They
talks.
put money in, they put money on this, so they get a little bit extra.
Yeah, money talks. And like to speak to your point, yeah, the NWSL versus MLS, like I think we talked about it a couple episodes back. Like MLS could have done the regionalized model, like where like West Coast go to Phoenix and Midwest goes to like Kansas City, and then the East goes to Florida, but or Dallas, but just budgets and different things like that. No one could have prepared for this moment, and um, they're making do with what they have, I guess.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so So moving along from MLS, we've been watching Premier League. They've already started back up. Their season's actually about to wrap up. So with that said, there's teams going down, there's teams coming up. So as the Premier League's approaching the season end, Liverpool has obviously locked up the title, but the FA Cup is still in play. So who do you think has a shot at securing that? We got United, we got Arsenal, I think City. Who else? Who's the other team?
Don't forget my team in there.
Oh, Chelsea. So
thank you, please.
It's the Final Four, right?
Semis coming up.
Always considered we were talking about this during the episode as well. Like Pulisic has been on the money since the restart. Like
you can tell he was working.
Like between him and Bruno Fernandes, like those have basically been the best players in the league since the restart. And I'm not sure what Pulisic has been doing. Was doing like during the shutdown, but he definitely came back with a laser focus and confidence on 100, and he plays like that. And like, cause it's funny because like, of course, it came out that when Timo Werner's coming over next season, and they kind of left a question mark as far as where that leaves Pulisic, because you still have Tammy Abraham. You have a pretty solid attack, all considering. I'm like, Pulisic's staking his claim, like, yeah, you're not getting rid of me. Like,
exactly.
this is my spot.
No, I really respect it. And this is he's made it known. He's made it known that like he's willing to work. He's willing to work hard for his position. And I think it's important that, young Americans see that, because usually you'd see like, all right, I want to get traded, or I want to get loaned out, or I want to figure out a way to move. But he's like a true example of, no, like I'm here to stay. I'm here to prove myself. And as a Chelsea fan, get Willian out of there, get Pedro out of there. We got the young guns coming now. Pulisic, Werner, Ziyech, Abraham, Hudson-Odoi. Even got the young English dudes too. I'm excited.
But I will say, those away kits look like pajamas.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, if the sponsor's willing to pay, we do what they want. So do you think Liverpool is going to beat the all-time record? You think they get that? You think they're focused enough?
I mean, there's enough games to where they should be able to do that. I think from my perspective, my thing would be just go ahead and start looking ahead towards next season. Start. Of course, you still want to get your mainstays regular action, but at the same time, start looking at get some kids some action. See like who might be able to be worthy of getting more time going into next year, because it's not like you're going to have a lot of off time.
That's true.
Going into next year, and I'm like,
Champions League starts back in August, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And you're going to need time to refresh your roster, and that probably is going to mean extending your depth. So go ahead and play some kids and figure out, okay, hey, this is a guy I might be able to look at going into next year, because, of course, with next year kind of being the schedule going to be all funky to begin with, you want to basically put yourself in a position where your depth isn't stretched out, and that means like look at what you already have and go from there.
So obviously you're a Man U fan. Do you give Liverpool an asterisk for the season because of the restart? Or
I give them an asterisk on principle, so that's just. But I mean, they earned it. They definitely did their thing. I probably say if I did give them an asterisk, it's just for the fact that you had a season this good and didn't win a treble. So I know who did, but that's just what it is.
And we can't leave L out. There's an Arsenal fan in here, preparing for Europa
League. They get undefeated, so there you go.
I don't even want Europa League, to be honest. Like, we need to just focus on league next year. Like, we don't need no European distractions. But we're playing well though. We're playing well right now. Like I'm happy with the way we're playing. Tough break against
Leicester.
Yeah, against Leicester. Jamie Vardy cheating ass. Cheating all game. We got no calls until the end. But I'm happy with the way we're playing. I feel like we've bounced back. I feel like the team is happy. The team is playing well. Arteta has us on the right track. We just need to get the right people in. Um, so we just
Okay.
need money to spend. You know what I'm saying?
Is homeboy staying or he's leaving?
Who? Aubameyang?
Yeah, Bummy.
I think Aubameyang is re-signing.
Oh,
I think Lacazette might end up leaving.
Yeah, I can see that.
okay.
It's time for the young boys. You know what I mean? We got Nketiah, we got Martinelli.
Saka just signed a new contract.
Yep, Saka signed a new contract. We got Tierney at right back doing well. Then we got William Saliba coming in from Saint Etienne. So we got a youth movement. We got a youth movement kind of similar to Chelsea, but we'll see. We'll see how it is. We got to get some more people in there. We need a good defensive mid. Looking at Thomas Partey. We've been looking at
I want him
Uncle
bad.
Macano.
I want him bad. Like that. Like he's a beast. Like
Yeah.
I've been watching the few games I watched at Atletico play this year. I'm like, that dude's money.
Yeah,
it seems like the African boys love Arsenal though. The Ghanaian and Nigerian boys love Arsenal. No matter what our form is, like it's like their father's dream to play for us. So hopefully we could bag them. You know what I mean?
Who knows? So how you guys feel about like the English, like the young stars coming out of England? Like this is like, if I'm an English fan, I'm like, this is the most excited I've been in a while. With Sterling leading the charge, you got Greenwood, you got Rashford, young boys in the midfield, some center backs coming out.
It's an interesting time, I think, because I think that like if you go back to the World Cup 2018 when they made their semifinal run, you can start seeing the signs even then that they're definitely on the verge of probably their best generation in probably 30 years. Like I put this well over the Beckham, Gerrard, Terry generation. Like you have, because the biggest thing there is that there's a certain type of hunger there. There hasn't been there in a while.
That's
and
true.
I think that as long as Gareth Southgate, you know, I still question if Harry Kane is the right answer up front. I think that I just don't think he's a big game striker like that. Like he gives you game, like he's like a glorified Wando. If for American fans who get that, because I'm like he'll get you he'll get you goals in games that don't matter, but when you need a goal against Croatia in the semis,
yeah,
and you saw what happened last year in the Champions League final against Liverpool. Like, of course, I think they rushed them far too soon as far as to start, but again, no goals.
Yeah, so, he don't got that dog factor for me. He don't got that dog in him.
Right, and I think that you got to figure out who's going to lead the way up front. I'm not sure it's going to be Rashford because I think they're still United still kind of bouncing back and forth between playing him on the wing and up front. You have Abraham. Of course, he might end up on the wing as well. Like you need to figure out what's going to be the answer up top. And once you do that, I think there's enough pieces in place to where, with the Euros getting pushed to next year, and also with the Euro finals taking place in Wembley, that I would be stunned if they don't at least make another semifinal run, if not make it to the final.
Yeah, I'm going to be excited about that. I might go to Vegas and put that bet down.
Will they let us?
Yeah, true. Who knows?
Speaking of young players, though, obviously every year in the Premier League, there's 3 teams that get relegated, right? So right now at the bottom of the table, we have Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and Norwich, who are looking like they're on their way down to the championship. So this is a perfect time to pick off some of their top performing players. So who would you want to see in your squad from those 3 teams?
Repeat them again.
Aston Villa, Bournemouth, and Norwich.
Okay.
Oh, I already know my guy, Nathan Ake from Bournemouth.
Yeah. That's what I was going to go into former Chelsea boy.
The Rude Gullit look like he, because it's funny because they just had an article to come out the other day where Solskjaer saying that we have 7 center backs. So I'm like, how many of those 7 are we really relying on right now? And I definitely think that given his age, like you definitely want to get find that consistent center back partner for Maguire, and I think that he could definitely be that guy. He's a left-footed, strong guy, and he's definitely got the speed that Maguire lacks. Like if you saw, um, forgot which game it was last week where Maguire just got burned for a goal. Like you definitely need someone to basically cover behind him in case he gets smoked. So I would definitely go for him. Of course, I've seen the rumors about Grealish as well. I like him, but at the same time, I think we're good in attack. Like I don't see a real necessary need to go after him. Like we already have options and they're clicking now. So
We'll take him.
so yeah, if y'all want him, yeah, y'all go ahead and get him. But I'll take
Trying to
Athens.
run Owesville off, so we'll take him. We need some help.
I like Pookie from Norwich. I mean, selfishly for Chelsea, don't think we need him, but he'd definitely be like someone off the bench, like with the talent around him. He would definitely, get some assists, get some goals. Uh, Nathan Ake, that's a great pick. Um, the way Zuma is like so wishy washy, I would take Nathan back over him for sure. Um, maybe not for Chelsea, but the forward he just scored today, but they called it back on Bournemouth. Big boy. Uh,
What are you talking about?
I said it's not Wilson, but
Well,
it's
I'm going Blake as well, but yeah, I know exactly who
uh,
you're talking about.
someone just come in late, brew some bodies. Maybe like a cold, rainy night in Stoke. You need to put them in instead. Uh, that's who. That's someone I would get as well. Yeah, so I mean that's who I would pick. It's going to be real interesting because they do have a potential to stay up depending on who ends up being that 17th or sorry that 18th spot.
Yeah, another kid I like is Cantwell from Norwich. I think he's a good creator. And when I originally wrote this question out, West Ham was in the relegation zone, and I was thinking that looking at Declan Rice as well.
Yeah, I do like him.
Yeah, he's a good young player. Yeah, his game is nice.
Cool. So obviously there's teams that need to come up as well. So we have Leeds and West Brom look like they're a lock. But then there's also this playoff coming up with Brentford, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, and Cardiff. Potentially, we'll see how it ends out. But as it stands now, it's them four in the potential playoff spot. So who do you see if any of those teams were to come up, doing well and actually staying up for the next couple years?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Probably Leeds if Fulham gets up just because they have history there, but I think they go right back down. To be honest,
it's well overdue for Leeds to get back in the top flight because for those who don't know their history, like they used to be pretty much like the end all be all in
yeah,
the first division of England, and when they went to administration and basically had to get relegated. Like pretty much they've been out of sight, out of mind for like the past 20 or so years. And I think that having them back up top just for historical purposes would be great. And hopefully they'd be able to reestablish a lot of old school rivalries with that. And hopefully we I said I definitely have a soft spot for Fulham, given their history with American players. But yeah, I definitely want to see uh, Leeds get up there so we can beat up on them some more.
yeah. There's something to be said about those historic clubs being in the Premier League. Obviously with the relegation and promotion, that's what it's all about. But there's something to be said when like a Leeds is in the Premier League. Playing a Man U, playing an Arsenal, playing these teams that are, there's some history there. So I would love to see him in there as well. Fulham, obviously, have them sign a couple Americans again. But
And then Nottingham Forest as well. Like they got a history as well. Like they used to be European Cup champions. There's definitely a lot of clubs down there in the championship that definitely have the pedigree and the history. It was like, oh, like this actually might be something worth watching, even if they might get smoked. It's just the fact that hey, Leeds United versus Manchester United, Leeds versus Arsenal, Forest versus Liverpool, like that's the kind of stuff that if you know your history, like that would be incredible to see.
And I know NBC's gonna make some great content around that if they, yeah, NBC's killing it when it comes to that stuff. As long as they don't put it on Peacock. Sorry, let me not go off topic. Let me not go off topic.
There's too many stream systems, man. Like it's getting on my nerves now. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think leagues would probably stay up. I like Bielsa's style, that full court press, like the whole game. But I don't know how sustainable that'll be at the next level. You got to get players who are fit and who can kind of handle that. And I don't know if like his players may be fit, but I don't know skill wise they're at the level of the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna get, if they get promoted, they're gonna get some Premier League money. So he gonna get some pieces.
Just gotta be smart with it, like we've seen, Leicester's pretty much the end all be all example is that if you build a smart roster and you have the right management in place, that you can definitely compete and perhaps even get up to a top four or win the league. And if you don't, like I said, if you build up, it could happen. It's just in a lot of cases, you are just worried about staying up instead of trying to figure out a way like how can we actually compete to win and stick to it. Because like even like in Leicester's case, they had that year where they went down a bit and then they kind of figured out their footing, and now you see like they're fighting for top four again.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking of leagues, as a classic club, there's always a kind of fascination with kits, right? So the ESPN recently put out an article of the 101 greatest kits of all time. So they took into account national teams as well as clubs, and home, away, and third alternates had their own individual merit. So on this list, it's 101, so I'm not going to run down all of them. The number one kit was the 1990 through 1992 Sampdoria home kit. And some notables on that list that I kind of pulled out at number 98 was the 2011-2012 Real Madrid away kit. That was the all black with the gold trim.
Yeah.
And number 66, the 1999 Chicago Fire home kit. Number 29, the 94 USA away kit, the denim joint. And number 7, the 91 through 93 Arsenal away kit, the bruised banana. And at number 2, the 85-86 Napoli home kit, the one that your boy Maradona made famous. So what are y'all's favorite kits of all time?
I just want to come in and say I'm upset that Nigeria's home kit 2018 World Cup's only at 50. I'm looking at the list right now. That was a game changer. And kit culture is really big in soccer, and I hope they continue to build it out. I mean, you guys are both wearing kits. I feel like it's like the one thing, in the States there's a time where people were wearing like football jerseys and then like throwback NBA jerseys, but those were like trends. Whereas soccer kits, you can wear them. It's never going to go out of style. So if we can continue to grow that, and like you said, no pun intended, for the culture, do these type of things, that's how soccer grows.
I'll give you a quick top 5 for me. Most of them are fairly recent. My number one's the Netherlands home kit from 2014. Absolutely love it. They went back to their classic lines of going to the Robo lines which they had like for most of the aughts or OOs, however y'all want to call it. Second is the Flamingo 2014 home shirt. Germany actually mimicked the Flamingo look going into that World Cup that year. Like we have an inside joke for the culture called "Pop a Collar for Justice." It has a nice collar, all that shit. Like I love it. I have actually I'm not that crazy about the denim USA kit. I actually like the stripe kit from that year in '94. Like if you go back to it, like it actually works out pretty well. Of course, a lot of people love the Waldos from about 10 years ago, and I think that the USA look should definitely alternate between vertical and horizontal. Just depending on the year, which one you want to do doesn't really matter. Um, I think the best MLS kit of all time is probably. I still have a soft spot for the original DC United kits with the big honking Adidas stripes on the front. Of course, MLS is like basically doing the same thing this year with the big stripes over the shoulder. But that one, it is for some reason it is fits. And and then I'll give you my favorite club, Man United kit is from the 0709 ones, the one they won the Champions League with. It's clean, like you can't beat it. Like that one is perfect.
Yeah, that's a pretty good list. That's a pretty good list. MLS kits, I like the throwback KC one, like with all the colors. That one's pretty cool. Um, the biased opinion with the Philadelphia Union throwback ode to Bethlehem Steel.
Oh yeah,
Those are cold. I kept like 3 of them jerseys. Those
yeah,
are so cold.
yeah.
Um,
You
uh,
go and just ship one of those down here to Atlanta, man. Go ahead and do it.
Croatia '98. That's just like a soft
Yeah,
spot because I used to play FIFA World Cup '98 on like the Nintendo, and their jerseys always just stuck out to
I
me.
remember that one.
Um, '94 through '96 Nigeria Golden Generation jerseys. Whew, with the it was like I don't know how to describe it, but those jerseys for me do it. And then it's not gonna be my fifth pick, but a jersey I like is like the Palermo, the pink one. They ranked top
Mm.
20. They ranked top 20 on the list. Those jerseys were so cool. But there's so many good jerseys like Colombia's in the last World Cup. Like I could wear that out. Uh,
That's
PSG.
always an interesting thing there because like you have some jerseys that they look good on the kit, but then you can't really wear them casually. Then of course you have the other way around where like you can style up like crazy like on the streets, but on a pitch, you're like that doesn't work.
Exactly. So it's interesting.
Um,
Oh, and a quick note on the pink. Can Inter Miami fix their pink, please? Like that is bugging me to no end.
It's crazy because they have so many like cool jersey designers out there, and people just they wait like they just don't want to hire them. Like shout out to my boy LBF Liberty Football El Boone. Y'all need to get connected with him. He'll hook your jersey up. Um, but that's a good point. Inter needs to fix that for sure.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, my soccer history doesn't run as deep as you two. I started watching like around 2011 ish. Um,
That's not
so
bad. That's not bad.
so bias wise, my favorite Arsenal kit is the one I'm wearing today from the 2012-2013 season, the away kit. Um, as far as MLS goes, I've always kind of been partial to DC. I like what Kansas City was doing with like the various designs they have on their kits. And Seattle Sounders was another one that like I really like when they had the Xbox across the front. I forget what year it is, but it was one that was just super dope. I think it was like all black with the boat, like that neon.
Was that 2014 one?
I can't remember because
Yeah.
they had so many years of the color scheme. So
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah.
I just remember they had like one year they had like a highlighter yellow, like a alternate kit, and I was like, that thing, you could catch that 1 miles away. Like,
Yeah, that was a little bright.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
bright.
and of course the Nigeria kit from the last World Cup.
Yeah, that was so cool.
I just can't wait for them to put out the new one that's supposed to be coming out like that one.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah, that one is hard too.
that was real hard.
They have all my money, all of it.
if we can get our hands on one.
Yeah, it's like they already got a pre-order.
That's the thing though, because of the pandemic, like a lot of kit releases got pushed back, and like a lot of them are happening this month. So for y'all out there, if y'all are looking for these jerseys to start coming out, like it's going to be July, August, September. Like a lot of them are going to be coming out. So get your money right. Get your money right.
I like that.
Speaking of kits too, NWSL came hard this year with the kits. The Portland Thorns kit is the hardest to me so far this year.
They always do it. They always do it right. Louisville's new team. I think that I like their jersey scheme. I like the designer behind it. LU posted it on the page, and I just feel like they should just give people free lanes. Like I know obviously Adidas is a big sponsor for MLS, but as long as Adidas is on the jersey, just let them rock out how they want to rock out.
It's always a tricky deal, especially here in America, where it seems like the trend is to do one brand for all the teams, and like let's open this thing up and let get a handful of teams do Nike, a handful of teams do Adidas, a handful of teams do Puma, and everybody else kind of get in where they fit in. But embrace that diversity, because I think that here's what I think happens that always annoys me is that you can have one team who has a very dope design, and that it's made just for them. But then you see another team who basically copies the same scheme, and it takes away from the uniqueness of the jersey. And it's like you love it, but then you end up kind of falling out of love it because everybody else copied it too. And that's, like I said, because like whether it's all Nike or all Adidas, I'm like, no, just open it up for everybody. Like I hope that within the next decade we can get to that, to where the teams can just express their own individuality, and everybody else ain't biting it. So hopefully we'll get that.
No, respect.
For sure. So let's move into our
my favorite
segment of the show. The no card, yellow card, red card. For those not familiar, this is a rapid fire segment of the show where I shoot off a question and we get the opinions of the guests, Amobi or Greg on minor topics that are worth noting. So we'll jump right into it. So no card, yellow card, red card. Oh, before I go into Greg, I don't know if you're familiar. So no card is like, I'm cool with it. I agree. Yellow card is, I can go either way. And red card is, I disagree. Like, I don't like it. Foul, you're off the field type situation. All right, so no card, yellow card, red card. MLS's new virtual stadium broadcast package. So if you've been watching the MLS's back tournament, they have kind of a new broadcast package with logos and everything kind of superimposed on the field, as well as this big kind of wall of advertisements in the back. So what are y'all thoughts on that? No card, yellow card, red card?
That's at least a yellow card. Just on like we've got about it on our show a few times, because of course we've seen what the Bundesliga's done, what EPL's done, and what La Liga's done. And I'm a big believer in presentation. And at least so far, of course, they've gone, there's no crowd noise. Of course, it would have been weird because it's not like there's a lot of stands there to begin with. But I think that it's one of those things where you want to put your best foot forward. I'm not sure if they're doing that. That big ass Adidas sign on the pitch definitely ain't helping. But I'll give it at least a yellow card. Of course, there's still time to kind of make adjustments, so I won't give them the full red just yet, but they're definitely going to warn it.
Yeah, I just don't like anything taking my eye away from the product on the field, and that's what all these jumbo signs are doing. So I got to give it a yellow card, but obviously, taking into account with everything going on, it's a yellow, and I'm gonna let them get a couple more fouls in before I.
But they get credit for, like I said, of course, with all the Black Lives Matter ads on the LED boards, like they do get credit for that. So, like I said, yellow's good. I'll take yellow.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, no card, yellow card, red card. journalist Drew Pell's "I Can't Breathe" tweet in response to Inter Miami defender Andre Reyes' injury last night. So his tweet is, if you haven't seen it, this is a real "I can't breathe" moment, not one manufactured by the media.
Yeah, that's a definitely red card. Like I saw that last night, and I was just like, it's just very funny to me, like how, especially after everything that's been going on for the past over a month now, and it's one of those things like you need to read the room and see like what exactly is going on, and especially given the fact that a lot of these incidents are happening on camera, and if so, it's not like I find it very incredulous when people still try to act as though this is just some made up agenda. I'm like, this has been happening for decades and centuries, all considering. And like, we have a real opportunity to change this for the better. It might not be everything that we want right now. Of course, we still got an election to address in November. So, message, vote. But this guy here, clearly he doesn't get it. I saw I guess the guy that the people that he was employed with, they went ahead and let him go. I'm like, that type of energy just does not help the the conversation at all, and it's best that he's not a part of it.
Yeah, this is a definite red card. It's like red card with multiple games added on.
Yes.
And it's not for the fact that he made the tweet, because like you said earlier, like word to Joe Budden, read the room, but he doubled down on it.
Yeah, he
He
did.
doubled down on it, and then he even like is like glorifying the fact that like he made more money in the past day or 2 days than the last 4 months because he was able to. And it's just like, yo, I don't know if you're trying to be funny or this how you really think, but there's no place for it like that. And what's even worse about it is that there's been complaints about him before, and nothing was done. So for him to expose himself, it's like almost like a thank you. Now we know for sure. We don't have to wait for any internal protocol. Like, bye. But it's just really crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the outlet that he was working with, I'm pretty sure at 11:30 at night on a Wednesday, they weren't thinking like, you know what, we might have to, let this guy go. Like they probably thinking like, hey, we just want to enjoy this game, enjoy MLS is back, and then all of a sudden we gotta clean this stuff up. Like nobody wants to deal with that stuff.
Exactly. It's just really crazy.
Yeah, that's all I got for this week, though, guys.
Nah, thank you so much, Greggo, for coming on. Where can we find you? Like,
Yeah, you
let
can
the people know.
find for the culture on pretty much all the major platforms at FTCUTD. If I can, just give a quick shout out. Of course, here in Atlanta, there was a young girl that was shot over the weekend, Sequoia Turner. She was actually with the Soccer in the Streets program that my co-host is a director of. And on our socials, we have information on how to contribute to her memorial fund. So a GoFundMe account, and hopefully, our thoughts and prayers are with her family this time. But yeah, of course, Instagram, Twitter. We managed to have a TikTok, but we don't post anything on there. But we're still there. But yeah, we try to have a good time. We try to do our best to inform, spread love, and and spread knowledge.
Nah, and yeah, we'll definitely be sharing that information. Prayers up to her family and everyone else involved. Um, Make sure you check out the socials. I'm putting it on you too, L and Greggo, Black Media Symposium next year, 2021.
It was supposed to happen this year. I'm very disappointed it didn't happen, but I'm hoping if everybody can get their act right next year, it's on and popping, and we'll definitely be there.
Yeah, next year we're making it
Yep,
happen.
gotta get in
So
there.
for sure. So with that being said, that's our show for the week.
Wait,
Subscribe.
before we
Uh-oh.
What you got?
no, I thought you was gonna cut it off where you did the housekeeping.
Oh,
Before you
no,
let the
no.
people know where to find us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Before before we let you guys go, subscribe, rate, and review. It helps us get discovered. Follow us on the socials at 2Cents FC. We everywhere where you get your news, content, gossip, soccer information. Check out our merch at 2centsfc.shop.
COVID Cup champs.
Yeah, COVID Cup champs. Definitely. We got a special shirt for the MVP of the tournament too, if you guys last that long. It helps to support the show. El just sent me some prototypes for some scarves we got coming out. You're gonna want to see those. And then tweet us your comments on the show, any topics you guys want us to discuss. Once again, we'd like to thank Greggo from For the Culture coming on. With that being said, we out.
Peace.